We're back now with Kelly Carter-Jackson, Associate Professor of Africana Studies at Wesley College, and Rina Shah, former Republican strategist and senior Capitol Hill staffer. Rina and I used to haunt the Hill together back in the day, so it's good to see you. Rina, here's the deal. According to an AUC Davis poll conducted last spring, 1 in 5 Americans say the use of force or violence is sometimes justified to, quote, advance an important political objective, end quote. What do you think about the incendiary kind of conversations that we're seeing coming out of folks like Green playing into normalizing political violence?
That figure tells me that people are frustrated. And they don't think that there's any way this moment, this environment, this really, really unbelievable moment in time where our political violence is somewhat normalized, it seems. People are just so frustrated. They don't know what to do. And so to that, I say, we have to be solution oriented, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is not. This GOP, unfortunately, Michael, they're devoid of a desire to govern. They are devoid of solutions. So what do they have to do? They have to go for the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that just feels right day by day. There's no long-term strategy here. That's why I said earlier, it's nonsensical, because there's just no matchup to a long-term goal here. What I see as problematic is that this GOP talks about religious freedom on one hand, yet on the other, other Americans like me, they look at my last name and assume I'm Muslim. They tell me I'm Indian when I'm American and born in southern West Virginia. So this is an issue where I say to people, if you're this frustrated, talk about systemic reforms. I've had the great privilege of traveling the country for over a decade and talking to younger conservatives who have an appetite for things like, overturning Citizens United, getting big money out of politics, right? Ending gerrymandering. But I think there are two things that younger conservatives can start to talk about that could get rid of people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that's ranked choice voting and introducing term limits. That was something I heard about at CPAC over a decade ago, the U.S. Term Limits Convention that advocates for that. So there are ways. It's a matter of when. That's all it is.
So, Kelly, these attacks are also directed at Republicans who don't toe that far-right worldview. And we've seen Representative Adam Kinzinger, for instance, receive calls to his house directly threatening his wife and his newborn baby at that time. What could be what more could be done, rather, to address these types of approaches in our politics to go after people that way?
Well, we have to call it out. I think we have to call a spade a spade. Even in my own career as a historian, I have gotten postcards with death threats on them and alarmist emails in response to an op-ed that I wrote or in response to the book that I wrote. And it's terrifying. And I think that what we realize is that, the Republican Party is playing the role of the bully, and it's trying to intimidate. It's trying to get people to stop speaking or speaking out or blowing the whistle. And I think that has to stop. And I think when we realize just how dangerous this could be, when we think of the fact that real people could be hurt and could be harmed, this is just unacceptable. And what I'm afraid of is that if this continues to snowball, if we don't really work hard to call this out and to say this is unreasonably alarmist and you are wreaking havoc on American culture and society, that I think we're going to continue to see more of not just violent rhetoric, but violent acts.
Rina, Kelly really puts her finger on a very important aspect of this for me that doesn't get a lot of attention because people think, free speech comes into play and therefore fill in the blank. But the concern that I have is the role that social media companies are playing in all of this. Their platforms and their private organizations, I get that and understand that. But how should we, as a country, begin to address and deal with those platforms? And are they to blame, or should they be held accountable for some of the spike in violence if they're pushing this stuff out there every day with impunity?
Yeah, there are algorithms that are there to, of course, help these companies succeed and get people coming back for more. I've always felt the individual responsibility is key here. And one thing I really believe that we learned during the Trump era is the intention around free speech. How do we talk about that? Because when intention comes into play, it makes the whole conversation so muddy. So do these social media companies intend to get more profits with more eyes on their platforms? Of course they do. Does an individual person running out there and saying certain things intend to do one thing or the other? We don't know what's in their heart. And that's what I hear from people in the GOP all the time. So I say take it back to this. for now, for the foreseeable future, the Republicans are going to run the play of demonizing the Democrats. That is sick. We can't change it. But what we can do is take some individual responsibility. I think we can look at people. Look, I'm in my 4th decade of life almost. And I say I need to be careful in my use of certain things because it normalizes certain things in my mind. So I encourage people, parents especially, wait till 8th grade to give your kids a smartphone with apps. Don't let them on social media. When we know the ill effects of things, we can choose not to participate, and we can push out a rhetoric that is more positive and saying, let's go for the solutions. Let's not demonize a fellow American based on certain things about them. I think that's how we get to a better place.
Kelly, you're a historian, so you look at events in a time lapse that a lot of us just kind of don't necessarily see or get through. But that's your job. You focus